As I look to the horizon, not a cloud, but then stormy weather's go too cold. Seems like it crept up out of nowhere, all around you is not what you foretold. You never see it coming. You see that my mind is too fast for eyes. You're done, but the time is hit you, you're not surprised.
Okay, before we actually get into the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen, allow me a few minutes to go ahead and kind of go over some of the situation and some of the circumstances that have gone on over the last couple of days and from the last week or two. Moving forward, as it pertains to the channel, as it pertains to the network, so you guys kind of have an idea of what's going on. And I can address a few things also. So, as you guys might know, you've had an upload just about every day. I'm actually recording this on Thursday, the 29th. So you guys have had an upload every day so far this week. Expect that for the next, at least the next 2 weeks or so. So 2 more weeks of getting an upload from Monday through Friday, unless I think there's something really important, then I might upload something on Saturday. As for today, a video already went up this morning, and I actually have one. This video in particular will go up tonight. So this will be our evening report, and I feel because it's important. So because of that, you're getting a backlog of some old videos because of what happened during that 2 weeks. My bad. Kevin uploaded everything. Kenny asked me to go ahead and just schedule it, and I thought I did, but instead they were all just on private. That's just me being an idiot. So my apologies on that. So you're getting a lot of videos that are older. Some of them are from like beginning of January up till now. Now, I was looking through the comment section today on Thursday's video, Thursday morning's video, and you asked, could I put like something in the description box on when it was recorded, and I will certainly try to do that. Some of the videos are actually, like I said, are quite old, but that's why I usually put the video that I've actually drawn it from, Snorpernell or whatever the case may be. I will try to do that for as many of those videos as possible, because why not? That's a fair request. So I will certainly try to do that. I can't promise you all of them will have it, but I will try to do that. And moving forward, for example, like this video and some of the newer ones, or the ones that are most recent, you'll start to see that. I'll start putting it down in my description when it was recorded, or it'll be on screen. Kenny said that he would be okay doing that too. So recorded on such and such day on the screen somewhere. So you guys kind of have an idea moving forward on where the mindset is. I know there was some confusion there, and that's my apologies on that. Okay, with that being said, second thing, I won't go into the situation in general on what caused the hiatus, because I was only supposed to be for a couple days and shit got crazy. And yeah, so, you know, don't worry about it. I didn't get in any type of trouble, or it wasn't anything like that. It was just life comes at you fast, ladies and gentlemen. So there you go on that. Maybe one day we'll talk about it. It'll be a nice story or whatever. Let's talk a little bit about something that was brought up on this morning's video that I'm glad someone made a correction on, corrected me on, I should say. So I had said something about the about that outstanding water bill that Phil had. It wasn't a water bill. Actually, somebody in the comment section actually corrected me on that. I'll try to have your name in the video, my dude. It was actually a waste, I guess there was like a waste bill or like a sewage bill, and that will occur whether the property is vacant or not. No matter what, that will always belong to the property owner. That will be his or her responsibility. So why did Phil let that go on for 3 years and not approach that? Yes, they kept sending the bill to his residence, right? But Phil lived there for a number of years, so he already knew that bill was coming. So why wouldn't he have paid that bill for 3 years? You know what I mean? Unless he had somebody living there, or maybe his parents were periodically going over there just to see if any outstanding mail or whatever the case may be was going over there to collect for him, and maybe that was the situation. But the point is it wasn't a water bill. It's like a sewage / waste bill, and and he'll get that regardless, as long as he owns the property, whether someone lives at the property or not. So let me make that correction first off and foremost. Second one. Second thing, someone had brought up in the comment section also, same video, does Phil really sound shaken, being that he didn't want to call El Presidor's name out? Yes, because we all know it's El Presidor. He's said El Presidor's name before. He certainly said it on Twitter. So he can go ahead and try to act all high and mighty and just try to shrug it off like, it's somebody that he doesn't know. But we all know who he's talking about. You might as well just say his name and just get it out there for just for the context of the situation. So him kind of backing off and not letting people's names come out of his mouth, it doesn't help him any which way. You know what I'm saying? If you really are deep into Phil's lore, you kind of know what that is and whatnot. I find it a bit I find it a bit silly that he's starting to get scared to call people's names out. That's all I'm saying. He should have just gone ahead and sell El Presidor. It is what it is. We all know it anyway. But that's neither here nor there. What is the next thing? So we talked about the video, about the videos coming out and the schedule moving forward a little bit, at least for the next couple of weeks. I addressed some of the guys in the comment section. Thank you guys in the comment section, by the way. If any of you guys ever feel like I've said something that you're not sure about or it sounds a little bit off and whatnot, feel free to go ahead and call it out. If I see the comment, I will try to at least address it. I will try to and whatnot. Most of the time I don't get a chance to skim through comments. So, but don't feel like, you know what I'm saying, that I'm not paying attention to you guys, especially if I don't respond back. All right, by all means. And I'll try to start addressing some of that moving forward. So just something to look out for. Is there anything else? Okay, so let's actually talk about what actually prompted this video. This video was prompted because I was hit up on Twitter by the Jackal's Lair, you know what I'm saying, good friend of the channel, as well as a couple of other people but Jackal's Lair hit me up first, talking about this situation that happened on Phil's King of Hate forums, where the person's name, here, let me pull it up for you really fast. I'll have this in the video too, so you guys can see it, because I want you guys to actually read his post. The post is from someone called Stress, and this person basically calls out Phil on his whole tax situation and how he feels like he was taken advantage of. And I think a lot of what he says stems from a video that Mr. Stuffs has already put out, where it's Phil talking about the subcount and about his taxes, which is the video we're going to go over in just a second. And I want you to kind of see this guy's post. I want to kind of gauge what you guys are thinking about. This is kind of important. I'm not sure if I'm going to label this breaking news or whatnot, but I think it's critical because Phil's tax situation is starting to, I said it was a con game. And I said that, in the fact that he's getting over on his fan base. But now, ladies and gentlemen, it's starting to turn into fraud, possibly. I'm not saying that it is fraud, Phil, because I know you're listening, but this is starting to look like fraud. And now there's even more implications. You're talking about some taxes, you're talking about save the house. You could go to jail. You know what I mean? First off, using a fundraiser to pay taxes, I don't know if that's legal or not, but I would think it's not. I don't know. I mean, unless you're like a nonprofit. Unless you're a nonprofit or if you were like a church or something, maybe you could. Even then, actually, I'm going to have to look that up. I will look that up actually really quickly if that's legal or not. But this is starting to, your tax situation, Phil, is starting to get out of control. And the more and more that people peel away the layers, the more and more stuff is not sounding right. Shit ain't adding up. Shit's not squaring up. And that's why this video is being made now, and that's why this video will go up today. Because I think it needs to. I need to go ahead and try to address this and at least get what you guys are thinking about it, because something like this is kind of critical. Because now Phil is starting to weigh into uncharted waters where there could be some real legal ramifications, especially with some of the research I've been doing over the last maybe half hour on what are the implications about your taxes if you don't pay them. But before that even popped up, it actually told me, and I'll have some of those screenshots in the video as well, on what happens when you owe back taxes to the federal government. And that's even more interesting because Phil has been pushing the narrative that I don't know how much I owe. I don't know how much I owe. But according to what I've read, though, the notice that they send you saying that you owe them back taxes actually has the amount that you owe. Now, is that amount correct? A lot of the websites that I've read said, including one of the websites that's actually linked to the IRS, says that their judgment might be off, or their assessment might be slightly off. It might not actually be the full amount. And once they do their calculations, once they get your payment, they'll send you back whatever they owe. Anybody who's overpaid on their taxes, you know this. But Phil, they send you the amount from the hop when you get the letter. So they had a pretty good assessment of what you owed and how much, because guess what? That's why they sent you the notice, to tell you what money you owed them. And you had 60 to 90, you had from 30 to 60 days to respond. And if you couldn't pay the taxes, there was like 4 different ways you could go about that. You could forsake your income tax. There's a couple different ways you could make all this happen. And like I said, I'll have all of that in the video moving forward. But this is starting to become a bit critical, and that's why I'm deciding to record this. So yeah, I'll see you guys for the video in just a second. And thank you guys very much for your patience moving forward. I very much appreciate you guys just giving me the opportunity. I know you guys have heard me say this before, but it means a lot. You know what I'm saying? Just you guys hearing me out and whatnot, and kind of engaging with what I'm saying, and so on and so forth, and correcting me on certain situations. I'm not gonna get butthurt. You know what I'm saying? If I'm wrong, and whatnot. And it's kind of nice to have people who think enough of you to be like, hey man, this is what that situation is. You know what I mean? And none of you have ever come off like an asshole or anything about it. You're just like, hey, this is what this is, GTG. You might want to take a look at it. So thank you very much for that. And I'll see you guys for the start of this broadcast, which is what you guys are here for. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is DSP News. This is a breaking news story / special investigations. There's a couple of people that need to be thanked for this. First things first, I'd like to thank the Jackal's Lair for actually pointing this out to me on Twitter. I very much appreciate that, man. Thank you. James the Lesser Express Lane, I shouted him out in this morning's video, and he also hit me up with this. Thank you very much. Someone in my comment section who actually linked this to someone else. I think your name is Jupiter's Son. I hope I don't have the actual screen in front of me right now, but I think that was your name. Thank you for posting that into my comment section. And the person who actually wrote the post, which you guys will be reading later, whose name is Stress, who actually went onto Phil's King of Hate forums to basically express his or her concern about this whole tax situation and how they felt about his lack of transparency. I'll have their particular post in the video, actually probably throughout the video a couple times, because it's a pretty good read, and it gives you some insight on what not only this person, but probably what other people are starting to think about. With that being said, we're going to also go to Mr. Stuff's video, which will actually talk about Phil. There's a portion of it that talks about Phil's taxes and how he's starting to lash out at people who want a little bit more transparency and understanding in what his situation is. If I think you guys heard the first part of the video where I kind of gave you guys like a little overview and just some of the kind of like bullet points for the network moving forward. So you guys already heard that. I'll try to have timestamps in the video for that, so you guys can so you guys listen to it once and you can skip that and move forward. So there you go. So first things first, the taxes. As you guys know, this is an ongoing thing, as I've been saying for a long time. And Phil is starting to slowly but surely back himself into a wall because Twitch isn't panning out. Because the sub counts are just... people are spamming how many subs does he have at any given time throughout the day, which is slowly but surely pissing Phil and his mods off. And then you have more and more people within Phil's fan base, not even just the detractors now, not just the trolls and the haters, but people who are actually giving their hard-earned money to Phil, want to now know, why can't he show them, or at least give them a better idea of what he owes, and how much does he owe, and how much has he obtained. Now, granted, you could go to Eddie B4, Yeah, Eddie B. And you can actually find out exactly what he's obtained over the last few months since he's announced this tax situation. He has all of it there and whatnot, and he's gone through an absolutely painstaking process to make all that happen. But you got to be loyal to the King of Gout, so you can't actually look at those resources, or not without drumming up more questions, which would make you go to the King of Hate forums and express your opinion. And even though they say it's so safe over there, even after getting doxxed earlier in the year, you do know that you'll probably get ridiculed pretty hard, especially with what's that guy's name? That new guy who's kind of moved his way up into a pretty powerful position. Not as powerful as most, but is it Mr. Swagger or Mr. Swaggin or whatever, or Mrs. Swaggin? I can't remember what they're calling him now, but he's moved himself up into a very strong position of head honcho. Oh, speaking of which, in a video previously, I had talked about how the whales are kind of being herded, are kind of acting like a herd and whatnot. And one of you guys actually corrected me on it, and I think you yourself, my friend, caught what my meta was. Now, first off, I was wrong, because whales, as most marine animals, aren't in herds. They are in pods, as you pointed out. So thank you for that, my dude. But I had a meta to that, meaning that I kind of purposely did that as bait to see who would catch it. Here's the difference. For pods, they are usually family units that move together as one in almost in unison, really, for a common goal. You know what I mean? And whatnot. That's which is one of the strengths of being in a family unit. You know what I mean? And moving as one for the greater good. Whereas a herd is more of a group of domesticated animals that are essentially do what they're told to do until they're ready to be slaughtered. And that's kind of what the situation was. So I think you guys kind of now get what I'm trying to say when it pertains to Phil's kind of his cult, his pig pen, the piggies, the piglets, the piggy banks, compared to an actual group of people that move in unison. So, but good shit on that though, dude. I appreciate the correction. Thank you very, very much. But that was the point that I was trying to make, and the fact that Phil's community doesn't move like they're supposed to. They only move because they're told to. There is no unison. There is no. They have no real united front outside of Phil. That's why they turn on each other so much. And it's funny how if you go to the King of Hate forums every once in a blue moon, you'll hear these little sly comments about, oh well, what will the detractors do when they don't have Phil? And you hear most of them say in unison that, oh well, hopefully they just turn on each other. I don't think that's the case. Why would we need to? And whatnot. And I think the reason why some of them say it is because look at what they do to each other. But that's neither here nor there. Now, before we get into the video, let's actually go ahead and take a look at some of the resources that I was able to kind of drum up. So first things first. I'm on QuickBooks.com currently. And it says right here, what happens if your business owes the IRS money? Now, here's the part. Now, there's a bunch of stuff here. I'll screen cap it and put it up for you guys so you guys can actually read it. But one of the things that was important that I had looked at, which is Phil doesn't want to talk about, is the notifications, the notices that are sent out to a business that owes money. It says right here that when a business fails to pay, to make tax payments, the IRS typically responds by sending a notice to inform the company of what they owe. And while you might be tempted to go ahead and toss the notification into the trash or tuck it away in a filing cabinet or whatnot, ignoring the IRS only results into additional fees and penalties that can be levied against your business. And you only have from 30 to 60 days to actually contact the IRS, to contact the IRS and contact the agent in particular, which will say that on your notice to handle your case. Now, another thing that I felt that was pretty interesting when it comes to your situation when you owe the IRS money which has become a point of conjecture, a point of conversation, is how does Phil know what he owes? Phil says that he doesn't know how much he owes. He says that he's waiting for his tax attorney to go ahead and get the calculations together, and then they'll let him know what the situation is. Well, that's kind of interesting because what I have here says that that when the IRS sends the notice out to you, it actually says what you owe on the notice and whatnot. Now, granted, as I said earlier on in this video, the amount is a shift because even the government doesn't know for sure. You know what I'm saying? They could be right, they could be wrong. So the number could be higher or lower, but they have a general idea of what is owed. So, and Phil knows that. Phil knows that. And Phil's tax attorney or whatever the case may be knows that. So why isn't Phil being a bit more transparent in the fact of, hey, this is the roundabout number of what I owe. Can you guys, you know, I mean, they're already paying it anyway, so you might as well give them a bit of transparency. Now, Phil, I'm sure, is going to sit there and say he doesn't want anybody to know his personal business, and that's why he's not producing paperwork, so on and so forth. Hey, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? I get that much as it pertains to business information and so on and so forth. But for you to sit there and say that, oh, people don't have a right to know what the number is when you're asking these people to pay your taxes is a bit hypocritical, is it not? Seems a bit off, does it not? Now, moving forward, so now that we've established that when the government or when the IRS tells you that, hey, you owe this tax money, they tell you what you owe, because obviously they have to have an amount to be the base level of what you owe them. They're not going to just send you a notice saying, hey, you owe us money, but we don't know how much you owe yet. What? Like, no, that's not how that works, Phil, and you know that. So now that we know for sure that the government has an idea of what you owe them when they send it to you, and they send you the amount that they say that they believe you owe. Now let's get into some of the ways that you can use to pay for it. One of the things that you can agree to make installment payments, or increment payments, I should say. Now, if you're an individual who owes back taxes, if you owe $50,000 or less, you can actually ask to be put on an arrangement, which will give you about 3 years to pay it off. Now, if you're a business, it's $25,000 or less. Okay, yet again. And they put you on installments, you have 3 years to pay it, which is fair. They also have a situation too where you can ask for a temporary delay of collections too. So that's interesting. But here's something that I wanted to point out to you guys. It's called an OIC. It says right here that to wrap it all up without going into legal talk, you make a deal with the government, with the IRS, saying, okay, let's say Phil owes 10 grand. All right, I don't have 10 grand, but I have 4. Would you guys take that? And if the government agrees to it, they'll take your 4 grand and then they'll forgive the other 6. And that's something that the IRS says right here on this website on US Tax Center. I'll have all this up here in the video as well. They will agree to. For example, maybe they won't agree to the 4. They might ask for like 5. They may ask for half. But Phil could do that too. So it's funny how, and it makes me wonder if that's what Phil has chosen to do. You know what I mean? Has he agreed to go with this OIC and agree to pay a portion of it, and then they forgive the rest? But he's going to try to go for the gusto and try to get as much as he can. I'm not sure about that yet, because obviously I don't know what the ins and outs of Phil's situation is. But it makes you wonder, because Almighty Tevin has said in a video recently that it's very obvious that he wants the fan base to pay his taxes. To go off that very same notion and push it a step further makes one believe that why just do that when you could just inflate the number, this imaginary number, this phantom number, inflate that, don't tell anybody anything, and then just keep drumming up support over a period of time without actually telling anybody anything, except for just saying, oh, well, you guys know I owe this tax, and I've been upfront with you, but I can't give you guys a number. I still don't know yet. Because why would the government, and this is something that I probably should have said before, and I'm pretty sure I've said it in some video. Why would the government send you a notice telling them that you owe them taxes and they don't know how much you owe? They have to at least have a roundabout number, because if they didn't, they would have taken a little bit more time to get that number or get to that number before they send you the notice, before they tell you that you owe us money. That makes no sense. That's like, for example, me going to let's just say, for example, that some of you some of you guys work in my newsroom, right? And for whatever particular reason, some of you guys were underpaid. Let's say all of you guys are salary. Let's do that. That'll make it even easier. All of you guys are salary, and some of you guys are underpaid. And you know, every month, even though none of you would wait that long, I would hope you wouldn't. Every month, you guys come to me and be like, "Hey, man, hey GTG." Well, you wouldn't go to me. You would go to, well, I guess you would go to me because I kind of own this. Shit. All right, you would come to me and be like, "Hey, man, you know, you shorted me on my check. You know what I mean? Or my check was shorted this month. This is how much I was shorted." Okay, and you guys do this over the period of a year, which I would hope you guys would just. I would think you guys would probably quit or, you know, go on strike or something at that point. But the point being is that it would, let's say that's what happened. It went over the span of a year. And then I go to you guys after that year and be like, "Okay, guys, I owe you this amount of money, but I have to wait till the guy who does our finances works that detail out because I don't actually know what I owe you guys." But if all of you guys are salary, you know what I'm saying, I can go to to our financing or accountant, our financial department, and know what you guys are making as linked to who you are and what your position is in the company. You know what I mean? So I can figure out who you got. I can figure out what is owed to each and every one of you. So if each one of you have come to me and written down individually, this is how much I was short from each check, and I know you guys are salary, all I do is take what you said you were short from or what you made, because I can actually look at your pay stubs and whatnot. I have that in the backlogs. I can actually look and see what you guys made and look at what you're supposed to make and be like, "Okay, bam, this person was missing $100 this paycheck, and then the following month they missed 400, and then yada 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 yada." And I can, and you know, obviously it would take a little bit of time, but that can be all broken down. You know what I mean? It can be broken down. It's very easy. If you guys can calculate that you're missing money because your salary, you know what you make each paycheck, then, or each pay period, then you know what you're missing. Same thing with the IRS. The IRS isn't going to just come to Phil and say, "Hey, you owe us money. Here's this notice. We'll get back to you." No, they have an idea of what you owe before they even sent the notice out. Like I said, the number can be inflated or it can be deflated. It may not be exactly the right amount, but they have at least a roundabout. They have an idea of what you owe. So that right there is the major lie that people are starting to get very pissed off about. So let's go ahead and try to address this in this video. Ladies and gentlemen, this is DSP News, always late, never breaking, unreliable coverage that you can't count on. A GTG network and productions. You guys all know the slogan. It's time to watch me work. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here with Mr. Stuff's Dspgaming, upset about the sub count and the taxes are real, or the taxes are real.
Noticing over the past couple of months, if you guys haven't noticed, all right, on the channel here, all right, we've been doing a subscriptions drive, all right, and we've been trying to do our best. Oh, hold on a second. Oh, okay, this is garbage. I got a spam email. I thought it was important. It's not. We were trying to do our best to push subs on the channel here. All right, we were. But the thing is, here's what happened. At the end of last year, December and January, there was a big discount on subs on Twitch, and people were gifting subs left and right. People really were feeling positive about myself and my content. They felt I was the ultimate underdog yet again, and they wanted to help out. So a lot of people, I think there was about 5 to 10 people who came in here and were gifting a ton of subscriptions, all right, to various different people. So my subscriptions inflated, no lie, from in the 300s all the way up to over 550. I think one point I had 5.
Now, one of you in the comment section asked, "Is it possible that that Phil listens to my videos and takes notes?" I mean, he probably does that. He probably does. If not, he should. But then again, he should do that for a lot of people who do videos on him. He should be paying attention to a lot of things that people are saying to give him a better idea of what his situation is and get his story together. But one of the things that really prompt what you said is just think about what his language is and how it's slowly but surely kind of come together lately. And the fact that he's kind of tweaked his language a little bit and what he says and how he says it. And a lot of the phrasing that he uses. It sounds familiar to certain people. I'm just going to leave it at that. But anything's possible. Anything is possible.
160 subs here on the channel. All right. Now, some of those were legit, and a lot of those were gifted subs. All right. what we've seen in the last 2 months is that naturally where this channel is sitting at this point is between anywhere from I'd say about 415 to 420 at a low point, up until around 450 for a high point for subs. Now it fluctuates. Sometimes we're above that, sometimes we're below that. But in general, that's the range, okay? That's a good range, especially for...
Now, here's the thing about that. And I had said this before, the gifted sub situation was not I mean, don't get me wrong, like, gifting 10, 15 subs might have not been that big of a deal, but you're talking about these guys were gifting, some people were gifting like 60 or 70 subs. You know what I mean? And it was an unsustainable number. And then, if you guys had heard I think I said it in a previous video this week, about how people who were gifted subs were essentially treated like second-class citizens. And he was on a pretty big banning campaign. You know what I mean? Because the people who were gifting subs were just kind of passing them out like they were hotcakes. So he was kind of just banning people at his leisure. And like I said, I don't know for sure if he can identify a gifted sub from a regular one. It's obvious that he can, because when he banned people, he was like, well, I'm going to go ahead and ban you because of this, and you were gifted a sub, so no big deal. And he went ahead and shot them off. So he has a way of distinguishing between the two. And yet again, Phil, this is the part that's really important, so please pay attention. When you sat there and banned all these people, and you banned quite a few people in the last 2 months, last 3 months actually, because we're coming at the end of March, none of them came back. So you got your little short-term money, as you are always thinking about, but you couldn't think about the long term, over petty trolling that meant nothing. Petty trolling that got you nowhere. And at the end of the day, their messages still made it up on Twitter and still made it into other people's videos. You only hurt yourself. You know what I mean? Your fan base really kind of hurt you because they inflated your numbers that they should have known couldn't have been sustained. But you yourself hurt yourself as well, given that you were so quick to ban people for the pettiest little thing. And you call that growth, and you call that positivity, and you call it this, that, and the third. The longer you go on acting like a bitch and letting these little things get to you, the more that your channel is going to go into decline. Remember, at that time, you were already at 500. You were looking at 550, 600. Now you're in like the 425s. You're barely pushing 450. You know what I mean? It's amazing how 2 months could put you in such a deficit. And in truth, you have no one to blame really but yourself. Just something to think about. DSP News.
Channel that usually when I stream, I bring in around 400 to 500 viewers for an average game. That's a really good number to have as subscribers, and I'm very pleased with that, okay? But what I've been struggling to do is find a good number to use as my subscriptions goal for a month to motivate people to subscribe, all right? Because here's the problem, is that I don't know what I'm doing in that regard. It's something new that I've done. I haven't, as you guys know, I never really had sub goals. I never really based anything on subscriptions until this year.
It's kind of funny, too, when you hear him say, you know, I don't really know what I'm doing, because it comes from a place of desperation. And that's something that his fan base, I should say, needs to understand moving forward. He's going to consent to little things like that because he has no choice. It's really what it is. He has no choice. He's truly ignorant in a much larger scale than what he's saying here. But he'll give you guys that little bit of leeway in the hopes that you guys will give him enough pity to help him move forward. But the thing is, and I said this from the beginning of the year, especially after December and then January, that none of this could be sustained. That whole as Almighty Tevin had said, that $10,000 a month, he really thought he was going to get that from here on out. He was an idiot for that. And he was. That was never going to happen. He was never going to make it to 1,000 concurrent subscribers on Twitch by the middle of the year. And he's still not going to. I said that 500, 550 was unsustainable. And apparently I was right. And I'm not saying this from a place of malice, like I take some type of joy when I say this. I say it because it's obviously very realistic. Like, for example, when some of you in the comment section are like, man, you know, GTG, man, why do you always have to be so optimistic? Why do you always think that he's going to actually take your advice? He's not going to. But the advice isn't just for him. Phil is merely just the median. The advice goes out to anybody. Phil is truly the example of what you should not do as it pertains to if you want to do YouTube or if you want to do Twitch. And I say that as a hobby. Don't sit there and turn into a Phil, a Review Tech USA, a Wings of Redemption, and do this for a living. Don't do that. You know what I mean? At least for the two of them, at least for Wings and DSP, they made boatloads of money. And for you guys who keep asking for a Wings video, I will start doing Wings videos because he's just a whole clusterfuck in himself. But there's a lot that you can learn from that. So we will do that, but not just that. But with Rich knew what the risks were before he even started any of this, and look what he chose to do. It just wasn't a good idea. This wasn't a good idea. And now look at him. Now videos are being demonetized. Videos are now, the YouTube community are considering his views unacceptable for some viewers and things of that sort. That's completely killing him. You know what I mean? Yet again. So a lot of the advice that I throw out there isn't just for Phil. It's for anybody in general. You know what I mean? Good advice doesn't have to be posed towards you for someone else to pick up on it. Just saying. DSP News.
Thing, an experiment that I'm trying because I'm trying to push growth on Twitch. I really don't care about growth on YouTube anymore, and I don't really care about growing my Patreon. What I care about is growth on Twitch. By making this channel more popular, by having more viewers, by having more followers, more subs, this is how I'm going to continue to be able to be successful in the future. Twitch is the future. Everything else is the past. All right? So that being said, it's been tough because that first month, February, I tried to base my sub goals off of what I already had as subscribers, and that didn't work because once all those gifted subs expired, those people didn't resub, and we went from like 560 down to like 450 subs. And I was like, well, shit. Well, we're at 450. I want to motivate people to sub again, so let's make 500 to go. Well, what happened this month? What we've seen this month is that subscribers are fluctuating between, like I said, around 415 to 420 up to around 450. So since we fluctuated and maintained that, that's great. But we didn't get many new subs this month, and therefore didn't make it really any headway towards 500. Okay? So what I'm going to tell you this, guys, now is next.
But the thing is what incentive do they really have to sub? You know what I mean? Like, you ban people left and right. You've made that a point to do so, to be honest. That's not it. There's nothing there. This whole DS positive situation doesn't mean a damn thing if you can't crack jokes. You can't talk about anything that's not pertains to Phil, which is the dumbest thing. If you want to talk about something in someone's comment section or in their stream chat, you should be able to, as long as it's appropriate. But if you, like, for example, if I start streaming and you guys want to talk about really whatever, for the most part, like if one of you guys want to start a talk about religion or talk about ancient history, these are stuff that I like talking about, but whatever. You want to talk about sports or even a particular sport that I don't follow, like I don't follow golf anymore. I don't think I ever really did follow golf, actually. But, like, let's say you guys want to talk about golf. Okay, fine, talk about golf. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll take a glance at it, and if I see something interesting, I might take a mental note of it, and I might look it up later. But I'm not going to chastise you for talking about something that I don't know about. That's absolute ignorant. That's absolutely ignorant. You know what I mean? That's someone who is so set in their ways that they don't even want to learn about something new or something that's not familiar to them. Every day that you get up and you draw breath, you should learn at least one thing new that day. You know what I mean? It's human growth. It's mental growth. If you can't do that, there's a problem. There's certainly a problem either with yourself, your mindset, your environment. There's something. Every day that you draw breath, you should learn something new that day. Even if it's just one thing, you should learn something. Just saying.
Next month in April, I'm going to set up goals that are far more...
But the point being is that, like I said, there's no incentive of subbing to Phil's channel. There's nothing there. There's nothing there that would not only gravitate you to him, but to hold him there. And one of the things that people have been saying is like, hey man, it doesn't really matter if he goes to Fortnite because he's such a toxic individual, he wouldn't be able to hold on to him. That's true. And I absolutely agree with you. You're right. That is true. But it would give him a bit of diversity. And that's what I was trying to go for. It would give him a bit more substance moving forward. He doesn't understand. See, Phil plays the games that he thinks are appealing. That doesn't mean shit. Because he always picks these garbage games like Burnout that didn't mean a damn. The popular games, at least in the short term, will bring people to his channel or to his Twitch channel. Will they stay or not? I can't guarantee that, but it would at least bring people there. That might be enough to convince him to possibly change his how he approaches not just his channel, but how people come up not just how he approaches his channel, but how he treats people in his channel moving forward. Now, that's a stretch. It's a big stretch. But it could, if given the fact that Phil is one of these people where he sees something successful, so he wants to continue doing it because it's successful. But that's neither here or there. And as I said, that could be a reach. But yeah, there's, in truth, you guys are absolutely right. There's nothing to draw people to him. He's just going to make more enemies. And sadly, that is, yet again, just another aspect of his legacy. And if this tax situation ends up exploding in the wrong way, well, just if it explodes, it already went the wrong way, then he's really screwed. And he's screwed in a much bigger way than the detractors. Just saying.
Realistic, that will allow people to kind of be motivated to subscribe in increments rather than, we need a giant chunk of people to sub to hit a goal. Instead, it's going to be incremental. Like maybe I'll do like 450 or maybe 465 as my first goal, 475, 480 as a second, 500 as the stretch. Okay? And I think if I do it like that, I think it's going to make a lot more sense for everyone. And I think that maintaining that is good. Because the thing is, if I can maintain those levels, all right, that constitutes a healthy Twitch channel. And, it's good to help me, pay my bills, quite frankly, and everything. It's a good one, all right? I want to keep that. Now, I'm going to be honest with all you guys, all right? I am. There's a nasty element, a negative element.
Stop. Okay, so he wants to go into smaller increments for his sub goals now and moving forward. All that's going to do is cause the people that are there now, some of the whales, some of his real supporters, some of the more extremists, I guess you could say, in his fan base, to just gift more subs. Now they just don't have to gift as much. So instead of one of these guys having to pay, having to gift 75 subs, he only has to gift 20. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's still a short-term solution to a long-term problem. You know what I'm saying? He's focusing on the sub count, and the sub count, it doesn't matter if there's not somebody behind it who believes in it. You know what I'm saying? Like when you sub to somebody's channel, like a YouTube channel, for example, we all know about the clusterfuck that's currently the people seeing your new videos come up and so on and so forth. I'm not really worried about that, but we can talk about that at a later time because there's another video coming up that we'll probably need to address it. But when it comes to Twitch, you're actually having to put money down. You know what I'm saying? You're actually putting your hard-earned money down. When you come to a YouTube channel, you can watch all this for free. You know what I mean? You don't have to give any money out. I mean, YouTube Red, but But you know what I'm saying? When you go to Twitch, though, if you want to be able to have some of the perks, which really don't mean a damn, you have to actually put your money down, which means you had to believe in it in some way, shape, or form. You know what I mean? And Phil doesn't exactly drum up a lot of inspiration. And he has little to no incentive. And yet again, all Phil's doing is pushing the goalpost further and further so people can hit it. But all that's going to do is cause them even more of a decline in numbers later on. All you're going to do is have all these phantom accounts out there. All these people are going to do is just start making random ass sock accounts. And then just gifting subs to them. And it'll be all good for a month. But then once those things expire, then what? You'll just see him continue to go into a decline. And then we'll get an exact number of how many people does Phil really have sub to him. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, will be the number of people who truly have faith in Phil. And that right there in itself will be a very interesting number. But for one particular reason, at least the way I look at it, it exposes exactly how small the pig pen is. That right there will be very interesting when that day comes about. And it will, eventually. DSPNEWS.
Of people who are coming into the stream chat, and what they're doing is they are actively, constantly spamming the chat, the command subcount. The reason is they're using it for negative purposes. They literally look every single time a subscription goes down. Oh my God, did you see Phil's subscriptions went down? It's horrible. How's he ever going to get more subscriptions? And what's happening is it's derailing the chat. It's making people upset. And I agree. It's distracting. We shouldn't have people coming in here who aren't, by the way, a lot of them aren't even subs. So it's not even like they are supporting the channel at all. They're literally doing it for drama purposes. They want to come in at every possible moment that there's a lost sub, right? Or someone whose sub lapsed and they didn't immediately resub. They want to spin it as something negative. And I'm done with it. You know? They do. Here you go. Bionitude just says they spam the sub count and then they screen cap it for stupid wikis and shit to talk like, oh, look, Phil's channel's failing. In reality, guys, it's not. All right? In reality, it's not failing at all. The channel is getting more followers. We're getting more overall viewers. Things are going good. It's very healthy. I cannot complain at all. Everyone's been very supportive on Twitch, as I said, and I have no complaints. All right? I really don't. You guys have been great. So in that regard, things are good.
Even though previously he talked about how the number was in decline, and now he has to change the sub goals and make them easier and easier to obtain because his channel is doing so well. Gotcha, Phil. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Because if things were going so well, you would keep it at the 50 to 100 sub balance, basically, and whatnot, and keep going it that way. Now you're talking about doing it in segments of 10 to 15 to 20 instead of doing at 50 or 100 like you were. But everything's going so well, though. Okay, gotcha.
Going swimmingly good. And I don't want anyone to get an impression based off of what idiots are doing, trying to, again, skew information negatively, to say that the channel's doing worse. It's not. It's actually doing good, all right? So I've had enough of their bullshit, and one of two things.
One of two things is, when his channel, when the subs fall to 400, 350, then let's see exactly where Phil gets. Where Phil's going to try to make his approach then. You know what I mean? That's when you'll start hearing him getting nervous, and that's when you'll probably start seeing him lash out at people even more. But like I said, we'll have to wait till we cross that bridge.
It's going to happen. Either I'm just going to disable the subcount command, which I may just do, because at this point, I can tell you guys how many subs I have on the fly whenever you want. I certainly don't need to have it spammed in the stream chat constantly. And these...
Now, question, can you actually see what someone's sub count is on their page on Twitch? Because if you can, then him shouting out, then him telling you what the sub count is kind of irrelevant. Also, by him taking away the visible number allows him to lie about it if he decides to go about that. If he gets desperate enough, he might do it. So that would probably be the worst thing. That's a really terrible lack of transparency, trying to take away people's access to one of the few things that they should be able to know about. You know what I mean? Especially the ones who are throwing up the money to buy gifted subs for people. Just saying.
People, I don't notice. I'm not even online, right? It'll be overnight, and then I'll look at the chat, and 47 different random accounts I've never seen before who don't chat are all spamming sub count in the stream chat, and every time the number goes down, they spam it even more. And it's like, fuck this, right? Or we're going to enforce a new rule, all right, that maybe, you know, if you do sub count too much, it's going to be a timeout and a ban. Because
so there we go, ladies and gentlemen. How are you going to sit there and build, you know, how are you going to build the sub count on your channel when now you're going to use the implication that, oh, if you spam sub count too much, we're just going to go ahead and ban you. Now, he said timeout or ban. More than likely, if you catch him in a bad mood, he's just going to ban you. He'll just ban you. And then, given the rather dubious nature of his mods, they might just go ahead and use that as the prompt to go ahead and just get rid of people they don't like. And why not? It's an easy way of doing it. It's a pretty visible edict to go ahead and get rid of people now. So thanks a lot, Phil, for going ahead and doing that. But then again, if for every person they ban, they're going to have to pay for at least 2 gifted subs to bring the number back up. Just saying. So, I mean, it's their money that they're spending at the end of the day.
Much like any other command, if you just keep spamming another command in the stream chat constantly, it's the same thing. No one's going to just say, okay, I'm going to just keep spamming this command constantly and see what happens. You're going to get moderated for it. All right? Because the bottom line is, it's true. It's distracting. It derails things. It
shouldn't be derailing anything for you because you should be focused on the gameplay anyway, not the chat. So there you go on that. After that, you got moderators. So either they need to do their damn job or you need to get other moderators. But I doubt that his whole chat is subcount. I doubt it's that. I absolutely doubt it. If not, I'd have seen a screenshot of that by now. You know what I mean? So that's not the case. What it is, it's disheartening for him to see the numbers go down, and he knows it. And it's probably making him more and more depressed as the day goes on.
Especially when, oh my God, look, Phil's subs went down by 2. It's the end of the world, and Phil's channel's falling apart. And then everyone in the stream chat, some people were innocent viewers, like, what? What's happening? Phil's channel is failing. What's happening? And next thing I know, I look at the chat. I'm in the middle of a game, gameplay. I look down, and everyone's being all negative, and I'm like, this is fucking stupid.
If you're in the middle of the gameplay, you shouldn't be looking at the chat anyway, just as I said earlier. So, yet again. It's funny, too, how he's such a hypocrite, because he had said that beforehand about how he used to shit on other streamers about, oh, they sit around and they'll be in the middle of the gameplay and all of a sudden they go ahead and do shout outs for subs and things of that sort, or for bits and cheers and all that. And now look at him. He does the exact same stuff. And now all of a sudden, oh, it's not a problem now. But it was a problem when other people did it. And he wonders why so many people call him out on his shit. He really does. It's absolutely amazing.
I'm not going to let some dumb, kids come in here and try to do this shit. Because they know what they're doing. They're doing it on purpose. All right? So like I said, it's going to be one or the other. Either I'm just going to get rid of the subcount command eventually. Or I'm going to make it so that, there's going to be rules around it. All right? So we'll see. I'm kind of laying down the law today. I'm laying down the law. That's the deal. If you are going to come in here just to spam the subcount command, expect yourself to be moderated. Because it's one thing if you're a legit viewer, I just want to see what the subcount is, and you check it once. Okay, that's cool. And then maybe by the end of the stream, all right, did it go up or down this stream? You check it. Okay, that's cool. And it's another thing if you're one of these fucking drama queens who does it every 5 minutes, constantly spamming the chat, and then immediately tries to blow it up into something negative if there's a dip. I'm not going to put up with that shit. I'm going to be honest. I've been very reserved because I've seen a few people doing it the past couple of days, and I wanted to ban them. But I was like, you know what? It wouldn't be fair if I did it without making an announcement first. That would be completely unfair. I don't want to be old Phil. Old Phil used to just, shoot off the cuff, shoot from the hip, immediately just do whatever without even explaining what was going on. And then people would get upset, and I don't want to do that. I want to evolve. I want to become, more wise Phil, mature Phil about it. All right? So that's why I'm telling you guys in advance. All right? Just so you guys know. If we get people spamming or whatever, there's going to be moderation, and I'm right now I'm mulling over what is it exactly that I could do. All right? The thing is, sadly, it's not like Nightbot. With Nightbot, all right, I can actually program Nightbot so that the command, the commands that go through Nightbot, I believe I can make it so you can't spam them. But the subcount command is through a third-party application that then conjuncts with Nightbot. So I don't know if I could actually set it up that it would only work after a certain amount of time or whatever. I don't know. Listen, I certainly am not a master of Twitch chat bot usage. I know very little about it. All right, I'm just the most minimal amount of knowledge possible is what I have. I'm here to play games and have fun with you guys, not to fucking sit here and worry about chat bots and shit. So, in that regard, I don't know what I could or couldn't do. I do know that my moderators here actually have access to the Nightbot commands as well. Some of them do, anyway. And that being said, I do believe that in regards to everything going on here, that there's a way to do it, but I don't know. So we'll see. We'll see, guys. We'll see what happens. And we'll go from there. All right. All right, Mr.
Now, with that being said, like, this right here is just the early stages of regulation, which, you know, is leading. Essentially, he's turning his chat into like basically a Nazi state. You know what I mean? And like I said, the moderators are nothing more than the Gestapo. Now, obviously, I'm grossly overstating the situation, but now they're going to ban you for something as small as that because he's so worried about what could be used from that later. Who cares? And if he's not watching hater videos, if he's not paying attention to what the detractors and everybody else is doing, why does any of this matter? That's petty. You know what I'm saying? And yet again, that's Phil exposing himself, exposing his faults, his insecurities. I mean, more and more of his fans watch detractor stuff now, because if Phil's doing it and Phil's getting upset, or they're accusing Phil of doing this, that, and the third, now more and more of them want to go over there and see what exactly Phil's being accused of, which leads into what you guys have seen throughout the video about people really wondering where their money's going, people feeling abused, people feeling used. And what will Phil say about any of that? How does Phil fight that off? Not everything can be a lie. You know what I'm saying? Not everything can be made up just because they want to see my downfall, as he would say. You know what I'm saying? After a while, you can't just discount everything all these people are saying about you and expect other people to believe it. Eventually, one day, they need to go off on their own and look at it and see what's being said. It is what it is. The brainwashing, as people like to put it, which is hilarious, it's slowly but surely wearing off, and he can't do anything about it. So now you just have that hardcore group, and that's it. It's very reminiscent of Far Cry 5 and the main villain in that. You know what I mean? And like I said, when the numbers dwindle, we'll know exactly how many people are really diehard fans of Phil. And then we'll find out everybody else who were just puppets. Like I said, give it time. And he'll strangle himself. I've always said that. You don't have to do much for Phil to screw himself over. Give him time and he'll fuck himself. It's all he knows how to do.
Wagons did a 25-bit cheer. I said maybe during pre-streams we should use sub-only mode would help to weed out trolling. Well, it's not necessarily what I'm talking about. I think what you're talking about in regards to earlier, I was talking about subcount spam, right? That's really not what I was talking about. What I'm talking about is not even just during pre-stream, but during the day. Sometimes I come back at night, I'm not even streaming, and I look, and during the break between streams, there were 3 guys who literally in a circle just spammed subcount like 45 times. Now, listen, I take a 2-hour break between my streams. I'm pretty sure there was no reason to spam the subcount command 45 fucking times during...
Wait a second, didn't you just say that it was overnight? Now you're saying that you took a 2-hour break and you came back and it said 45 times? Let's bring that back just to make sure I didn't hear it wrong.
Just during pre-stream, but during the day. Sometimes I come back at night, I'm not even streaming. And I look, and during the break between streams, there were 3 guys who literally in a circle just spammed subcount like 45 times. Now listen, I take a 2-hour break between my streams. I'm pretty sure there was no reason to spam the subcount command 45 fucking times during the break. Except if you're just hoping that there would be a minor drop-off so you could run to your fucking detractor area and report it. So that's what I mean. Okay? Rowdy Catnut cheered. So we ever
Alright, I'm not going to say anything else. I thought I heard what I heard, so I did. We're good.
Provide actual proof of your tax situation, or we just have to take your...
Okay, so this is the part that gets interesting. Because as time has gone on, and this rumbling has been going on for a little while now, to be honest, where, as I've said, as other people have said, you're going off blind faith when it comes to these taxes. You know what I'm saying? You're going off complete blind faith. And the fact that he doesn't want to provide paperwork is understandable. But at least give these people a number. Now, does it have to be an exact number? Like if Phil owed 2,000, excuse me, let's say he owed $2,000. Would he need to tell them, he could say, a few grand. He could say, I owe 2,200. He could say something along those lines. Now, Phil's reasoning is that he's afraid that people are going to backtrack and see what he's made and then start doing the deductions and then start to work it out. Well, yeah, Phil, because if you're ripping people off, there's going to be someone who's going to want to go back and check to make sure. And then but see, most people don't understand what that meta is. For example, this gets into a much bigger scheme. If Phil exposes how much he really owes, then we get into how much money that was actually raised. Then we get into, well, what did he do with the money that was raised? He's going to say he used it to pay, monthly bills and so on and so forth. But then he has to explain how did he pay to get Kat over here for all those rendezvous and things of that sort before she actually moved in. Then he has to explain how he was able to buy all that stuff for her. Clothes, a cell phone, the PS4 Pro, the new monitor, so on and so forth. All the things to keep her happy as part of their arrangement. He has a lot that he needs to explain. Now, most of you are going to be like, well, wait. Yo, GTG, why didn't he get himself a new TV yet then? Why didn't he get himself a PS4 Pro? You know what I mean? You're telling me he spent all that on her and not on himself? Why would he do that? Because he wants his fan base to pay for those things. He has to wait for the heat to die down, though, before that can happen. Because he already knows that they've already paid to essentially get Kat over there. Because remember, when we first found out about this girlfriend, he was the one who said that he wanted her to move in with him. Now, in the last maybe 10, let's say in recent weeks, he's been saying, oh, well, she wanted to move in with him. So it's these little subtleties like that and these little changes of stories that are becoming the problem. And it's those type of inconsistencies is what allows people to call him out for good reason. And unless he can keep his story straight, he's only going to bury himself. And that's where the finances come from. That's why he's keeping as much of this stuff hush-hush and he wants to backtrack on what he's saying or limit what he's saying. Because he knows that people are going to figure it out. It's not hard. Like I said, just go to Eddie B. I think it's Eddie B4 or is it Eddie B44, something like that. I'm sorry, man. Sorry, Eddie. I don't know if you watch my videos, but you guys know who I'm talking about. He has he's broken it down. He's crunched the numbers. You can't tell me that from all that money he made in December, which was like $12,000 in December up till now, which we're getting into the end of March, he doesn't have the money to pay his taxes. 3 years of back business tax? Do you really think he accumulated $25,000? No. That's a damn lie. And we all know it. And on top of that, as I've pointed out before, all the things that he was deducting, all those business taxes, all those things he was deducting from his taxes, calling them business expenses, I'm wondering if that has something to do with it too. But like I said, I'm not quite sure yet. Just something to think about.
Word for it. Rowdy Catnut, you may be really stupid. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you take offense. But you got to understand something. Number one, how do you think taxes work? Do you think you receive a actual bill, like a credit card in the mail, and it says, you owe this. Please return this, this bill with your payment, and blah, blah. That's not how it works.
Actually, it can work that way. When you get your initial tax notice, you can pay, one of the options is you can pay by credit card or credit cards or by a loan. If you can't secure a loan, then it starts breaking down into what can be done after that. So that is an option. And if they were going to send you payment options, then guess what? They had to actually tell you what the amount is. Right? Right.
At all. All right? At all. What happens is you get a letter from whoever you owe taxes to, and they say, we need to assess your business / whatever. Provide us with tons of personal information. All right? Obviously, I can't show you guys that information. It's all personal information about the business that people could use to hurt me. Okay? Then,
but yet again, how do they know that you owe them back taxes if they don't have an amount in mind that you owe? Once they establish that you're a business, because remember, Phil did say that someone contacted when he initially got his notice. He called them and said, "Hey, I don't fit the criteria of a business," because it said it in the letter. It's because of these particular criteria that we believe that you may be operating as a business. Phil responded and said, "Hey, I'm not a business. I don't fit into these criteria. This is what I do. I'm not obligated to do these things. I think there might have been a mistake." within that letter had to have been what he owed. You see what I'm saying? Because you usually find that towards the bottom of the letter. If I had to guess, I don't know. I pay my taxes, but but I would assume that's what the situation was, and that's what Phil was trying to fight off.
Based off of all the information they provide to you.
So my bad. So when they sent him that letter, they had to have an amount in mind, and it was labeled on that letter. This whole extra, this, that, and the third, they didn't need all that. They figured, in my personal opinion, that he was operating as a business. He was writing off stuff as business expenses. 2 plus 2 equals 4. So Phil tried to contest it. He couldn't, and then that's when he started the plot. And he's turned this into a long-term con. And now he's sitting there talking about, oh, they need all this paperwork and this, that, and the third, yada, 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 yada. You would have already provided that at this point. And that's where I'm starting to kind of doubt this whole tax attorney thing, because they already have an agent that's addressed to him already, who's assigned to him, I should say. So he should be in constant communication with them. Now, granted, Phil would need someone to prepare his taxes. So there you go there. And he might even want someone to negotiate on his behalf, because Phil can't negotiate for shit. So, okay, so that kind of justifies his tax attorney now. But the point is that he's known for quite a while on what he owes. The scheme, the con, is to drag it out as long as he can, turn it into a yearly situation where 3 or 4 times a year he can hold a fundraiser or whatever the case may be, so you guys can pay up the money to cover his taxes from this day forth. That's what the thing is. This is what the long-term con is. He doesn't want to pay taxes ever again. So guess what? His fan base will do it from now on. I'm saying it right now because I think that's what the case is. You know what I mean? The long con is to have the fan base pay his taxes off from now on. And if he can make that work, and if he can keep it if he can keep the amount so vague that they never know how much that he needs and just starts piling on and whatnot, like brain dead idiots, as he likes to call them, then he could probably get enough to pay his mortgage or mortgages. You know what I mean? After a while, he could set the circumstances up to where they cover all of his expenses from here on out. It's not about paying his bills anymore. He's trying to turn this into retirement. Mark my words. I'll bring the whole segment back with the whole taxes and everything, because I know I'm kind of coming in and out of it. So, but that's my thought and whatnot. I've been thinking about that for a while now, so I'm kind of glad that the opportunity came about. But that's what Phil's scheme is. This is retirement. This is his nest egg. So all that time where I was saying, he didn't think ahead, he didn't do that, this, that, and the third, when he got that little bit of success in December, into January, he knew then, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn this into my nest egg. This is how I'm going to finish my years out. I almost can guarantee it. To give you an example is there was a mobster back in the 80s and whatnot who he did a lot of dirt. He did a lot of dirt in Cleveland, New York, California. He did a lot of dirt. Anyway, eventually, like most mobsters back in those days do, and some do now, he went into witness protection, and they basically gave him money each month. This is back in, like I said, back in the 80s and whatnot. So they essentially gave him money, and all he had to do was testify in court against certain people. And this particular mobster, I can't think of his name at the moment, but this particular mobster figured out a way to kind of turn this into a retirement for himself. So he was pretty much testifying against everybody. He was making real good money. And he was staying on the straight and narrow until he got greedy and started to try to sell his story to other outlets. You know what I'm saying? Not keeping it on the federal level like they needed him to, but he was selling his story to other people. And he was doing it on cases that hadn't even been brought to court yet, which would have only jeopardized future cases against other mobsters or even mob bosses. And that's one of the reasons why they ended up kicking him out. So if he didn't get greedy with all those book deals and doing all those interviews and whatnot, he wouldn't have screwed himself over. So that's just an example.
All right. They say, you owe us taxes. So you can either pay us taxes or we're going to do an assessment, blah, blah, blah. So what ended up happening was I contacted a tax attorney. The tax attorney did all the work, and via email, said, you owe this amount, you know, give us your bank information and we will pay it, you know, through us on your behalf, you know, as we file your taxes. Again, information I could not publicly show you guys. You know what I mean? It's not, people think, because again, these are kids. People ask these, Rowdy Catnut is probably a teenager who doesn't understand how life works and thinks that, like, I get a nice standard, like, bill in the mail, like you would get from Visa or MasterCard. You owe this amount of money, so please pay this. Here's your minimum payment. It's not how it works.
But yet again, he did get an amount in the mail. And when he agreed to break it down into payments, or he said, I can't pay this the whole bill off, but I can agree to pay this, would you guys cut me a break on the rest of it? Which, like I said, these are options and whatnot. Or, like I said, if he went with the give me monthly payments, then guess what? For, you know, over 72 months and whatnot, or, well, no, over 36 months, because it'd be 3 years. He would, or, well, yeah, 3 years. It'd be 3 years, unless he can ask for an extension too. If he chooses to, I should say, if they'll allow him to have it. But like I said, over 3 years, 36 months, he would make his payments and whatnot. And I would assume he knows what those payments are. I don't know if they would send him a notice each and every month, but they'd certainly send him a notice saying, this is what you're going to owe us. And either he puts it on a credit card, or they take it out of his checking account, or whatever the case may be. Or he paid, you know, what he could up front, and then they cut him a break on the rest of it. You know what I mean? It was one of the, it would have been one of those two. And everything else is just a scam. Everything else is just a con. So, just my opinion.
At all. This all is stuff that happens through emails, through personal communiques. It's not, you know, a system where you think you're going to get this, you know, fucking bills. It doesn't work like that. At all. All right? This is really stupid. This is very, very stupid. What you're saying.
If he's just a kid and he don't know no better, then that's not stupid, because he don't know. He's just a kid. So it's not stupid because he don't know. It's stupid that there's a 35 fucking year old man who wasn't smart enough to handle what he needed to handle, and is begging kids his age, and is begging people this kid's age, if he is a kid, to pay his taxes for him. That's what's stupid.
Right now, okay? On top of that, I've been completely transparent with you guys and explained to you that the state of Washington has not completed their assessment of my back state taxes. All they told me was that at the latest it would be done in April, and then I would have to start paying. I've also disclosed to you guys.
But how does that make sense though? When taxes would be due in April? You know what I'm saying? So you're telling me they're gonna wait until April 15th or April 17th or 18th and be like, okay, Phil, this is tax day. This is what we came to the conclusion of what you owe us on taxes, and this is what you're going to start paying us from this day forth. Why would they wait until the month of the deadline for paying your taxes to give it to you right then and there? That makes no sense.
I've been waiting now for almost 3 weeks for my tax attorney to finish my taxes and to tell me what I owe federally. I've told you all this. Oh, by the way, if I told you guys what I owed in taxes exactly, you'd then have people who go nuts to do crazy calculations to figure out what I make on a yearly basis and try to say that I'm a liar and I'm this and that. It's none of anyone's fucking business. It's not. And the fact that you're actually trying to get my personal information just shows that you don't have good intentions at all, but that you're actually just trying to get inside of my personal shit. All right? And it's not appreciated. It's not. It's like, people are idiots. Do you see me going on a Caribbean fucking vacation? Do you see me rolling up in a Ferrari? Do you think I'm putting money in an offshore fucking account? Seriously. The things that I've been saying about YouTube ad revenue plummeting and all that are common themes that everyone's been saying. Everyone agrees with me. I'm not pulling shit out of fucking thin air when I tell you about my financial troubles. It's all full disclosure. It always has been. No, I can't actually show you every detail of the situation because you know people would do malicious shit with it. But again, the reason that people like Rowdy Catnut are trying to get information is not because it's genuine interest. It's because this is a malicious idiot who wants to get my personal info so they could just harass me more. No, you're not going to get it.
But you don't think it's not idiotic that you can't even handle your own responsibilities as an adult, and you need kids to basically pick up the slack for you? Not even that, but you need another man to pay your bills for you, to take care of you and your girlfriend. Let's go ahead and get into that for a second. You're okay, Phil, with another man taking care of your responsibilities? You run around here talking about you're an adult. You're running around here talking about, oh, I got all these, adult responsibilities, this, that, and the third. But in truth, there's another man who puts food on your plate. There's another man who sits there and allows Kat to go ahead and take care of your laundry and do this, that, and the third. And most of them aren't even men yet, if you really break that down. But yet you're proud of that? Yet you feel like you're on top of the world over that? And don't be wrong, there's no problem with donations, this, that, and the third. There's no problem with having a Patreon if you're using it for the right things. Now, what determines whether it's right or wrong is up to the individual. And that's why there's a lot of problems with people throwing the word eBay around and so on and so forth. But what you feel, you want other people, from children to grown-ass men who have their own responsibilities, who get up every day and go to work and do what they have to do, to put food on their plates, to make sure their lights stay on, to do everything that they need to do, to now do that for you. And you're okay with it. And you have the nerve to sit there and call yourself a man. You have a nerve to sit there and keep running on about, oh, YouTube screwed me over here, and this, that, and the third, and the tractors did this, and the tractors did that. Where's your shame at? Where's any sense of self-dignity? It's not a matter of him getting some donations here or a Patreon here. He wants you guys to take care of him moving forward, and then he benefits, because at the end of the day, he just wants to sit on his ass and play video games for a living, and that's it. And yet he has the nerve to, when being called out about the situation, or when asked to give a bit of transparency, to throw a tantrum at you. All right, here, let's bring this back a little bit so we can finish up.
Okay. Rowdy Catnut cheered. So, we ever provide actual proof of your tax situation, or we just have to take your word for it? Rowdy Catnut, you may be really stupid. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you take offense, but you got to understand something. Number one, how do you think taxes work? Do you think you receive a actual bill, like a credit card in the mail, and it says, you owe this, please return this, this bill with your payment, and blah, blah. That's not how it works at all. All right? At all. What happens is you get a letter from whoever you owe taxes to, and they say, we need to assess your business / whatever. Provide us with tons of personal information. All right? Obviously, I can't show you guys that information. It's all personal information about the business that people could use to hurt me. Okay? Then, based off of all the information they provide to you, all right, they say, you owe us taxes. So you can either pay us taxes, or we're going to do an assessment, blah, blah, blah. So what ended up happening was I contacted a tax attorney. The tax attorney did all the work, and via email said, you owe this amount, give us your bank information, and we will pay it, through us on your behalf, as we file your taxes. Again, information I could not publicly show you guys. You know what I mean? It's not, people think, because again, these are kids. People ask these, Rowdy Catnut is probably a teenager who doesn't understand how life works, and thinks that, like, I get a nice standard, like, bill in the mail, like you would get from Visa or MasterCard. You owe this amount of money, so please pay this. Here's your minimum payment. It's not how it works at all. This all is stuff that happens through emails, through personal communiques. It's not, a system where you think you're going to get this, fucking bills. It doesn't work like that at all. All right? This is really stupid. This is very, very stupid, what you're saying right now, okay? On top of that, I've been completely transparent with you guys and explained to you that the state of Washington has not completed their assessment of my back state taxes. All they told me was that at the latest it would be done in April, and then I would have to start paying. I've also disclosed to you guys that I've been waiting now for almost 3 weeks for my tax attorney to finish my taxes and to tell me what I owe federally. I've told you all this. Oh, by the way, if I told you guys what I owed in taxes exactly, you then have people who go nuts to do crazy calculations to figure out what I make on a yearly basis and try to say that I'm a liar and I'm this and that. It's none of anyone's fucking business. It's not. And the fact that you're actually trying to get my personal information just shows that you don't have good intentions at all, but that you're actually just trying to get inside of my personal shit. All right? And it's not appreciated. It's not. It's like, people are idiots. Do you see me going on a Caribbean fucking vacation? Do you see me rolling up in a Ferrari? Do you think I'm putting money in an offshore fucking account? Seriously. The things that I've been saying about YouTube ad revenue plummeting and all that are common themes that everyone's been saying. Everyone agrees with me. I'm not pulling shit out of fucking thin air when I tell you about my financial troubles. It's all full disclosure. It always has been. No, I can't actually show you every detail of the situation because you know people would do malicious shit with it. But again, the reason that people like Rowdy Catnut are trying to get information is not because it's genuine interest. It's because this is a malicious idiot who wants to get my personal info so they could just harass me more. No, you're not going to get it. So, wake the fuck up. Mr. Swaggins just said, oh, I mean, when you're talking about taxes, a lot of people come in and they just talk shit. Yeah, well, no, it doesn't need to be put into sub-only mode. Those people just need to be banned. If I'm, being real with you guys, I'm doing the one section of the stream where...
So how are we going to grow then if they just need to be banned? If you can't ignore it, because I'm not going to ask him to confront it because you already saw how emotional he got there. If he's not going to actually try to confront it like a what's that wording he likes to use now? Like a normal human being or a regular human being or whatever dumbass, weird ass wording that is. Just ignore it. Just ignore it. But he can't do that, so now he wants to go ahead and just be like, just ban him. And it's because of that whole just banned type mentality is the reason why his channel's in freefall. Is the reason why people are going ahead and supposedly spamming sub-only mode. Or not sub-only mode, but subcount. When people know where and how you're weak, then that's how they're going to attack you. But yet again, this is a grown-ass man, ladies and gentlemen, who's all about handling his responsibilities. By sitting on his ass, poorly playing video games, and letting other men and women pay his bills. Let children who have questions about his situation that he's okay with taking their money, but he has a problem when it comes to answering these questions. They're just dumb kids. The same dumb kids that give you money. The same dumb kids that contribute to you and where you're at. Who contribute to you, not only to your content, not only in views, not only in time, not only in effort, since they have to make the actual stream chat exciting now, but financially also. Which is a burden not only on themselves, but also on their parents. And you're not even man enough to answer some questions. Some questions that could easily be deflected. If they're just dumb kids, you could easily deflect these questions in a way where they're at least satisfied in the short term, and you can just keep it moving. But no, now you need to ban them. And then you get mad when the detractors point out, oh, look at him, he banned this guy for this, he banned this guy for that. He must have problems. And then you all of a sudden get butthurt about it. Being like, I don't know why these dumbass detractors keep saying this shit. They keep making it up. No. When you give us all the probable cause that we need. All right.
I do plugs, and people are being nasty. Ban those fucking people. Especially if they're coming in and they're not regulars, or people you don't recognize, they're coming in just to talk shit. They don't need to be here.
So then, so there you go. How are we going to go ahead and build this new community? How are you going to foster this incubation chamber to be welcoming to other people when, if you don't recognize them, ban them? He just said it. I didn't make that up. I didn't take that out of context. If you don't recognize if someone says something and you don't recognize that person, ban them. And it's very easy to misconstrue anything, to be honest. It's very easy to take something that a person says, especially if they're new to a particular environment, out of place. You know what I mean? It's very, very easy to do that. So that's where some common sense needs to come into play. That's where people need to think before they act. But since Phil is a reactive person, and since he fosters a community that's also reactive, like Phil said, ban them all. There ain't no time to ask questions. Just ban them all. Anybody you don't recognize, shoot them. Might as well.
That's not the audience I'm talking to and appealing to, and they should get Das Boot. It's that simple. Mr. Swaggins just cheered and said, people need to respect the mods. Calling me Mrs. Wagons is BS. Yeah, I mean, guys, don't be stupid. The mods are mods and have moderating powers, and if you insult the mods, they have the ability to time go out and ban you. It's probably not too wise to anger the moderating team. They are volunteers. They're not getting paid for their work. They're doing their best to maintain a healthy chat so that people can be in here and have fun and not be bombarded with shitheads. So please be appreciative of what they do, and please do not incite the moderators. It's not funny. Remember, what you may think is funny to someone else may be very insulting, and you should always take that into account. All right?
That's funny. Did you take that into account with that Blip TV situation? Or did you take that into account with any of your Howard Stern-like commentaries? Yeah, okay. I was wondering. That might be a bit hypocritical to think that you would be able to think outside the box, or that you would follow your own advice. You're right. That was stupid of me. My bad. All right, ladies and gentlemen. As you guys may or may not, at this time, Snort Brunel has also come out with a video. We'll do that as a separate one. This video has gone on long enough. But this is just to kind of inspire a little bit of dialogue. What do you guys think after what you've heard and what you've read? Is there anything that that stands out to you that might have been missed and whatnot? By all means, please leave in the comment section below. And tell me what you think. You know what I'm saying? Is it, am I reaching? You know what I mean? And it's not as bad as it seems, or is this starting to get into? I mean, we already know it's a con, but now it's starting to look like fraud. It could be fraud. I should say. I'm not saying that it is fraud yet, but I'm saying it's starting to get into that fraud a little bit. And the way he's lashing out at people for having an opinion about the circumstances isn't very good. It isn't very good at all. It's someone who's slowly but surely becoming unhinged because of the pressure that's being put on him. But that's just my thoughts. Ladies and gentlemen, this is DSP News, always late, never breaking, unreliable coverage that you can't count on. A GTG Networking Productions. I am your host / anchor GTG, signing off. Thank you very much for spending a little bit of your evening with me, as well as your morning in general, as well as your day, really. And just thank you. That's all I can really say. Thank you very much. End of broadcast.